Hi, my name is Veronica Sierakowski. I'll be your occupational therapist today. Today we're going to test your active and passive range of motion in some of your shoulder joint motions. I have already looked at your chart and reviewed that there's no contraindications or precautions, but is there anything else since the last time you've been seen that maybe I should be aware of? No? Okay, so if you feel any discomfort or pain, please let me know. With that being said, I have washed my hands, I've cleaned off the table, and I've cleaned off the goniometer for you. Also, is it okay that I manipulate your shoulder to kind of get in the correct form to do these motions? Okay, with that being said, I'm going to have you lay down on your back, and I want your arm to kind of stay still on the table with your elbow kind of hanging off the side. And with safety, I'm going to stay on this side of your body in case you were to roll over. Okay, so the axis of the goniometer is going to be placed under your coracoid process at the point of the glenohumeral joint. I know these are probably terms that you're unaware of, but don't worry. I'm going to tell you how to move throughout the motion and your results from your active versus your passive range of motion. Okay, so I want you to keep your arm in this 90-degree angle, so your fist kind of towards the ceiling, and I want you to start by your side. Now I'm going to want you to bring your arm all the way out here until you can't go anymore. Don't make yourself hurt, don't hurt yourself, but just till that end feel, okay? So if you could go ahead and do the motion. Is that about as far as you can go?
Yep.
Okay, so now I'm going to place the goniometer. Again, the axis is right below the coracoid process over that glenohumeral joint. Also, the stable arm is in line with the sternum and parallel to the sternum, and then the mobile arm is going to be in line to your lateral epicondyle of the humerus. Now, since the stable arm is a little bit long, I'm going to extend your arm just a little bit just so I can get it in line perfectly. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Make sure, double checking my placement. Okay, so from there it looks like you're almost to 95 degrees, okay? So from that I'm going to hold and I'm going to stabilize. I'm going to stabilize your shoulder and your clavicle, and I want you to push, I'm sorry, not you. I will be pushing your arm for passive range of motion, and I'll fix the goniometer if need be, okay? Okay, so I'm going to push a little bit more. Is that too hard? Too much? You're good there?
Mm-hmm.
I feel that end feel, it's pretty firm, kind of hard. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there, and I'm going to go ahead and measure once again. So placement, make sure it's in line, parallel to the sternum, towards the lateral epicondyle. So it looks like you've gained almost 10 degrees of range of motion. So you went from about 95 to about 105. Does that feel okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. The next one I'm going to test is your shoulder scaption. So if you could actually stand up for me, and I'll have you actually stand right here. And so shoulder scaption is kind of like you're flexing your elbow, and it's going to be in between that 30 to 45 degrees of adduction, which I'm sure these are terms that you may not be familiar with. So again, pull your arm out and kind of move it this way. Does that make sense? Okay, so what I want you to do is start from there and go up as far as you can while I stabilize the axial part of your scapula. Okay, wait, let's try it. Sorry. I think I'm on the wrong spot. Okay, try that again. Is that about as far as you can go? Mm-hmm. Okay, now I'm going to, so the axis of the goniometer is going to be below your acromion, in the center, the head of the humerus. The stable arm is going to be in parallel with the midline of the trunk, and then the mobile arm is going to be in line with the lateral epicondyle. Now, since you're at scaption, which is not only flexion, but 30 to 45 degrees of abduction, I'm going to have to kind of, do my best to imagine that perfect line where the axis and the arms match up. And then from there, we can, assess your difference from active and passive range of motion. So if you want to go ahead and do the active range of motion, I'm going to try and stabilize your axial border of your scapula. If you want to. Is that about as far as you could go? Okay. And if you want to hold it there, I'll go ahead and get in line with. It looks that you're about a little under 80 degrees. Now, Normally there would probably be a second therapist here because it's hard for me to control the mobile arm of the goniometer and then stabilizing your axial border of your scapula. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and try and stabilize and then just fix the goniometer from the position you're in. Okay? So if you want to go ahead, or I will go ahead, sorry, this is passive. So I'm going to go ahead and lift your arm even higher. Okay, so I'm feeling that very firm end feel. So right there I would say is about where you're going to want to be without injuring you. Again, I'm going to place my goniometer in the correct position. And it looks like you went from 80 to about 94 degrees. So you gained a lot of motion right there. Again, I want to say there's probably a little bit wrong air in the sense that it was hard for me to stabilize your axial border of your scapula and get the correct measurements. But roughly we were able to increase the movement a very decent amount of degrees. As an overview, I want to state that the prime movers of abduction are going to be your middle fibers of your deltoid and then your supraspinatus. And then with scaption, since you're doing both flexion and abduction, I want to say that your prime movers are not just your middle fibers of your deltoid, but also anterior fibers, and then also your coracobrachialis as well as your supraspinatus. With that, do you have any questions?
No.
Perfect. Thank you.